Welcome, lecturing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
most welcome.
Good evening. Good evening,
Good evening.
masters, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you, Linda, for your kind words. You almost made me cry.
I only speak the truth, Susannah, nothing but truth.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Let's enjoy it.
Thank you. First of all, my heartfelt gratitude to the grace of heaven. Sorry. To the great virtues of our holy teachers, the merciful guidance of our children in heaven. And thank you, masters and my fellow lecturers, for giving me this opportunity to share a topic tonight. Tonight, my topic is filial piety and fraternal respect in the Analects. And before I begin, I want to let you know that tonight my speech will primarily in English, of course. But occasionally you may find that I switch my speech to Mandarin. Well, for those Mandarin, that will be just like 1% of what I'll say. And when you hear it, don't worry and don't feel confused, because all those Mandarin, just a little bit, a very small portion, and those just serve as a final touch. Like I have explained everything in English, and then I speak a little Mandarin just for what? Just to bring my thoughts back to the main theme of tonight's speech in my native language. That's all. To bring my thoughts back to the main theme in my native language. And that's just, that isn't for me only. And that's also to better serve the majority of our audience. And I believe the majority of our audience do understand Chinese, okay? So don't worry. When you hear Mandarin, actually, I have explained everything in English already, and that just serve as a final touch. Okay. So let's get started. Tonight, I will share filial piety and fraternal respect. And we know this is the Simming class teaching materials, and the passages were selected by our Tao Center and categorized into 6 major themes. And we have shared Tao and true nature I believe in July. Yes, in July. And tonight we will go to filial piety and fraternal respect. And in November, we will share propriety and Ren. Okay, so tonight, filial piety and fraternal respect. Okay, and because I have a lot of content to share, so I need to speak quickly. Okay, this topic is very practical because everyone has parents, and most people also have siblings. As long as we have parents, we need to understand filial piety, and if we have siblings, we should understand fraternal respect. And these are the most basic forms of love as a human being. If a person lacks feeling and love toward their closest parents and lacks love for their siblings whom they have grown up with, such a person lacks the capacity to love. They lack the capacity to love others. So a person without the capacity to love others is like a flower without water. It will eventually wither. Of course, we might be drawn to the appearance of artificial flowers because they never wither, right? But they lack life and authenticity. So we need to be genuine in our interactions with others. And much like water is essential for real flower, the capacity to love, or we say compassion, bestow true vitality upon people. Compassion is the ability to love others with genuine care, concern, and kindness. And this love is different from ordinary worldly affection. Ordinary worldly affection often becomes possessive and, when unfulfilled, can lead to anger and driving people to act irrationally. And different from worldly affection, an individual's capacity to love others begins with the love a baby has for their parents. And this love is not something learned. It is inherent in our true nature and marks the beginning of compassion. So this love is 良知良能. It's not something learned. It's inherent. Okay, so that is why we say family refers to father and mother, I love you. And as the child grows, they naturally extend love and kindness to their siblings. Filial piety and fraternal respect are forms of genuine love that arise from one's innate nature. And although filial piety and fraternal respect originate from our true nature, our confusion and ignorance might have obscured our innate brightness. And that is why, you see, in every Tao seminar, our 不修习菩萨, our never-resting bodhisattva, will give us a lecture on filial piety. So, and also, all saints and sages repeatedly remind and teach us to rediscover our inherent virtue by elaborating on the importance of filial piety and fraternal respect. And they expect that the moon will restore its original brightness. So in the category of filial piety and fraternal respect, there are several passages. So tonight, I select 7 passages, and I hope that I can complete elaborating on the 7, okay? And Confucius and his disciples' discussions on the topic. So let's go to the first passage. The first passage is from Youzi. Youzi said, few individuals who have cultivated filial and fraternal virtues enjoy offending their superiors. Who was Youzi? In the Analects, there are 3 sages who were referred to as Zi. Confucius, of course, without a doubt, is referred to as Zi. Another sage is Zhenzi, who inherited the heavenly mandate as Confucius' successor. And the third one is Youzi. What's so special about Youzi? Youzi, 有若, he was 43 years younger than Confucius, while another version states that he was 33 younger. Well, much younger than Confucius. And it is said that there was a high resemblance between Confucius and 有若. So he looked very much like Confucius. So after Confucius' passing, the disciples honor him as Youzi because he made them think of their master. So actually, he was respected. Addressed as Youzi actually was because of very touching reason. Youzi said, few individuals who have cultivated filial and fraternal virtues enjoy offending their superiors. That means it is rare to find a person who is filial to their parents at home, but enjoys offending elders or superiors outside home, because they will extend their love and respect for their parents to the seniors, to the elders outside their home. And Youzi continued to expound, those who do not enjoy offending superiors are never troublemakers, because those who do not enjoy offending superiors, they are so gentle and kind-hearted that they wouldn't easily cause trouble or go against others. That's why they are never troublemakers. And a Junzi directs his attention to the essence. A Junzi focuses on their inner virtue and moral qualities rather than superficial accomplishments or external success. Junzi directs his attention to the essence. Once the essence is firmly established, appropriate actions is in accordance with Tao will naturally manifest. So once the essence, just like a plant, if the root of the plant is firmly established, then the branches, the leaves will naturally flourish. So for a person, if the root, his inner virtue, his moral integrity is firmly established, so he will naturally speak kind words and do good deeds. He will naturally respect other people. He will naturally fulfill his duties of filial piety and fraternal respect. And all these external good behaviors is just naturally flourish because the root already well taken care of. That's why Junzi directs his attention to the essence. So the final phrase of this passage are not filial piety and fraternal respect the essence of the actualization of Zhen. So it sounds like a question, but the original meaning of this sentence should be a straightforward affirmation. But when turned into a question, it doesn't require an answer. It's just emphasize the affirmation. So filial piety and fraternal respect, because all inner virtues begin with filial piety and fraternal respect. That's why filial piety and fraternal respect is the essence of the actualization of Zhen. Okay, let's go to the first part of this passage. Filial and fraternal individuals do not offend superiors or cause trouble. Why do they behave this way? Because they're filial to their parents, they're fraternal to their siblings, has nothing to do with people outside the home. And why do they behave this way? Because I would like to quote a passage from 伏魔真经. 观世音 said, 爱亲不误，敬亲不慢，爱敬事亲，德教百姓。爱亲不误. A person who loves their parents would not easily dislike others. Because if you truly love your parents, you just won't dislike or hate anyone else because parents are human and so are other people. You would extend your love for parents to others. And 敬亲不慢. A person who respects their parents would not easily neglect others. So similar to a person who loves their parents who will not harbor dislike or hatred toward others, someone who respects their parents will not treat others with negligence, arrogance, or indifference. It's simply an extension of respect for his or her own parents to other people. It's an extension. So Confucius say, 吾老以及人之老，幼吾幼以及人之幼. It's just an extension of love and respect. Okay, and 爱敬事亲，德教百姓. A benevolent ruler, through loving and respecting his parents, can manifest virtue and influence that inspire the people. In Qingyang era, Tao was embodied in virtuous emperors and prime ministers, 道在君相. So how did virtuous rulers educate their people? Of course, not through lecturing. They led by example. They showed love and respect to their own parents, and through this, they taught the people to love and respect their own parents as well. And this cultivated a virtuous atmosphere throughout the entire nation. Why? Because when individuals love their parents, they would not dare to harbor hatred toward others. And when people respect their parents, they would not dare to treat others with negligence. And as a result, the people's character becomes pure and sincere. And since all the people in this country, their character becomes pure and sincere, And naturally, there is a virtuous atmosphere throughout the entire nation. And nowadays, although we are not any ruler and emperor, but maybe you are a boss. So you can apply this principle to your company. Maybe you are a leader. You can apply this principle to your organization. Maybe you are a teacher. You can apply this principle to your class, or maybe at least maybe you are a parent. You are a parent. You can apply this principle to your children. Okay. And the next part of this passage, 君子务本. A 君子 focuses on the essence. Why a 君子 focuses on the essence? Because people are born from their parents and rely on their elder siblings to establish themselves. Therefore, filial piety and fraternal respect are the essence of how one should interact with and conduct oneself toward others. Because without parents, where are we? We wouldn't be born. And as to our siblings, our elder siblings, probably when our parents were busy, our elder brothers or sisters took care of us, protected us. We grew up with them. So if we do not even love our parents who brought us into this world, or our elder siblings on whom we rely to establish ourselves, then how can we truly love anyone else? Filial piety and fraternal respect are forms of love that arise from a deep sense of gratitude, which is different from ordinary worldly affection. To review this passage, Youzi said, few individuals who have cultivated filial and fraternal virtues enjoy offending their superiors. Those who do not enjoy offending superiors are never troublemakers. A Junzi directs his attention to the essence. Once the essence is firmly established, appropriate actions in accordance with Tao will naturally manifest. Under filial piety and fraternal respect, the essence of the actualization of Zhen, and that is why in every Tao seminar, there is a lecture on filial piety delivered by our Jianren. Okay, the second passage. The master said, a young man should be filial at home and be respectful to elders outside of his home. In ancient China, only men were allowed to go outside. And whether to pursue a career or education, while women were always stay inside, stay at home. But nowadays, the term young man mentioned here naturally includes young lady as well. So a young man or young lady should be filial at home and be respectful to elders outside of his home. He should be honest and truthful, universally cherish all people, and nurture connections with virtuous individuals. After completing this, if he has extra energy, he can delve into the study of literature and professional knowledge, which means once you met these 5 requirements, you can start focusing on your studies. Well, I will explain it later. First, let's take a look at why the wording is structured in this way. Filial piety and fraternal respect traditionally refer to how one interacts with parents and siblings at home. But why does this passage emphasize being filial at home and respectful to elders outside? 入则孝，出则悌。为什么入孝出悌呢？孝悌都是家里对父母对兄姐啊，为什么入孝出悌呢？ This is a form of symmetrical phrasing. Simplify as be filial at home and respectful outside. It's just a simplified way of phrasing. The original meaning means practicing filial piety and fraternal respect at home, and then extending these virtues to interactions with others outside the family. 就是在家里孝悌，然后延伸到外面，尊重外面的长辈，是这样延伸啊。所以这个是一个简化，入孝出力是一个简单的一个简化的一种说法啊。Okay, the young one should be filial at home and be respectful to elders outside of his home. Chinese, the young man, young lady, the young ones, is 弟子. 弟 means one who is younger. And 子 means one who is a son. So 弟子 means broadly referring to younger generations or juniors. Okay. And filial piety and fraternal respect need to be nurtured in family education. So the responsibility is on parents to be nurtured in family education. So parents are responsible for providing correct guidance. Here are two examples of incorrect guidance. The story goes like this. A university professor wrote an article describing a curious sight he observed every weekend. There was a mom taking her elementary school-aged son to McDonald's. What caught his attention was that the mom would sit across from her son, but never eat anything herself. They consistently ordered just one meal, and she would quietly watch her son savor his French fries and dipping sauce with the son seemingly unaware of or indifferent to his mom's hunger. As this scene played out weekend after weekend, the professor found it increasingly puzzling and eventually unacceptable. What troubled him was the most was why the child never seemed to notice that his mom never took a single bite. Finally, unable to resist his curiosity, the professor approached the young lady and asked why she brought her son to McDonald's every weekend, allowing him to indulge while she herself refrained from eating anything. It was a sad story. The mom explained that on Mondays at school, classmates would chat and ask each other, what did you go for the weekend? And due to their family financial constraints, she couldn't afford to take her son anywhere for recreation or dine out for a nice meal. So bringing her son to McDonald's on weekends was the only option. But they couldn't order separate meals, so they could only afford one meal for her son. By exposing her son to McDonald's food details and experiences, he would have something to talk about during Monday conversations with classmates. And this way, he wouldn't feel left out when they shared stories about their weekend adventures. At least he could talk about visiting McDonald's. And upon hearing the mom's explanation of the underlying reasons, the university professor shook his head in disapproval. He said, if the child could understand the mother's heartfelt intentions, that would be great. However, if the child continued his path without empathy, then it could result in selflessness and result in selfishness and self-centeredness, neglecting the hardships faced by his parents. Without compassion, he will grow indifferent to the world. 他会养成一种对这个世界漠不关心的一个态度。His mom originally thought she was doing what was best for the child, but it ended up having a negative impact on him instead. 爱之是足以害之. And another negative guidance. Some people, back in Taiwan, some parents, they only care about their children's academic performance and neglect their character development. Sometimes they would say, just focus on studying hard, getting good grades, and getting into good school. There's nothing else you need to worry about. Nothing else you need to worry about. You just focus on your study. Of course, this is completely against what Confucius has taught us. 2 examples of incorrect guidance. Okay, so in this passage, there are 5 requirements. 住校出惕. Be filial at home, be respectful to elders outside of his home. 然后谨信爱众, 谨而信放爱众. The 3rd requirement, be honest and truthful. That means to speak and act cautiously and carefully in alignment with sincerity and truth. Avoid words of bitterness, nonsense, gossip, or arrogant words. Keep our promises. When speaking, we should be mindful to align our words with virtuous principles. 谨守口德, 避免造口业, refrain from harmful speech. And 泛爱众, universally cherish all people. You see, a young one, a teenager, a young man or young lady, Confucius teaches those young generation to universally cherish all people. Wouldn't that be a high expectation, too high to achieve? To universally cherish all people doesn't mean that we need to be philanthropists. It simply means cultivating understanding, compassion, and concern for others in our daily lives without becoming overly self-centered. It's about having empathy and recognizing that beyond ourselves, there are other people in this world. 记得在这个世界上，除了我们自己，还有别人啊。So other people have needs just like we do. Here I would like to share a personal experience with all of you. Once I was riding the subway with my elder sister. We boarded at the station immediately following a junior high school station, precisely when students were leaving school, 放学的时候. Upon entering the train, we noticed that all the seats were occupied by students, and there was no vacant seat at all. Thus, the 2 of us had to stand. We had no choice, we have to stand. In front of my sister, there was a young boy who seemed uneasy in her seat, and eventually he quickly got up and hurried to another car, leaving the seat vacant. Then I told my sister, he gave up his seat for you. Well, it's a very small experience. You might think it's very common. What's so special about this experience? Well, in every small things in life, sometimes we can find a very profound principle inside. See, in the midst of classmates laughing, neglecting the needs of others, there was this child who noticed the needs of those around him. Why did he give up his seat? Perhaps he observed someone of a similar age to his grandma standing in front of him, and his sense of filial piety naturally arose. He might have thought to himself, how could I sit while my grandma stands unsteadily in front of me? Truly, the child's actions were commendable. This is a manifestation of universally cherishing all people. Like Mother Teresa has said, not all of us can do great things, but every one of us can do small things with great love. So to universally cherish all people, even small acts of kindness matter. See, my sister isn't his relative, isn't his friend, teacher, or principal of the school. Moreover, his act of giving up his seat won't earn him any school rewards or make him a model student appraised by all. However, his conscience tells him that he must do it. He must do it, compelling him to do it. That's a small acts of kindness, elaborating 泛爱中. Okay. And the fifth requirement in this passage, Confucius said the young people, the last requirement, the fifth requirement, 而亲人, to build connections with virtuous people. 亲人 means seeking the company of benevolent and virtuous individuals for positive influence and moral guidance. But we can see many young people actually tend to chase after idols. The singer, the movie stars. They want to become their fans. Actually, they are pursuing illusory dreams. Confucius teaches us, be practical, seeking the company of benevolent and virtuous individuals for positive influence and moral guidance. There's a proverb, Chinese proverb, very famous. Our senior elder often quoted this proverb, 鸟随凤凰飞尘远. 我们前人老常常以前注释的时候常常勉励我们啊，人伴圣贤品德高. Just as birds that follow the 凤凰, or so-called Chinese phoenix, can travel great distances, people who associate with virtuous and wise individuals can develop high moral character. And this associated with virtuous people can have a gradual and subtle influence, a positive influence, naturally and gradually. 潜移默化. Okay, so after the young people completing all these 5 requirements, Confucius said, if he has extra energy, if he has spare time, then he can delve into the study of literature and professional knowledge. 行有余力，则以学文. 文 means literary works, including literatures plus professional knowledge. And when we see this, we might feel that Confucius suggests a strict division between cultivating one's moral integrity and study. But actually, there is no strict division between the two. It might appear to suggest a strict division. First, completing the initial 5 tasks, and only then, if time permits, study literary works. However, in reality, such strict divisions are not practical. For example, fulfilling filial duties towards one's parents, like after school, you do the dishes for your mom. When you are doing the dishes, after doing the dishes, you still need to complete your school homework. So fulfilling filial duties does not cancel the responsibility of completing school homework, which is a student's obligation. Therefore, the writing style of this passage, in your spare time, when you have time, when time allows, isn't referring to after completing all 5 tasks, then if you have spare time, you go to study. It doesn't mean that. This writing style of the passage is meant to emphasize the importance of moral integrity over academic achievements or professional success. Why? When a person has bad character, the more they succeed in school, the greater the chance they'll use their knowledge for harmful purpose or even commit serious crimes. 所以孔老夫子这样讲，并不是说前面德行都修好了才能够去读书，而只是在讲涵养就内德 注重品格，比学业的成就，甚至比事业的成就更重要。啊，例如一个人书读得越高，如果他品格不好，他做的坏事是更大。更大。When a person has a bad character, the more they succeed in school, the greater the chance they'll use their knowledge for harmful purposes or even commit serious crimes. Note that this isn't an excuse to skip studying or doing homework, nor is it a reason to avoid finding a job. 也不是说毕业以后就不找工作了啊，因为德性还没修好，这不可以是一个 excuse. A young person with moral integrity won't shy away from their duties. It just means that they prioritize their moral values over academic or professional success. That's all. Okay, the 5 requirements. Filial at home, be respectful to elders outside of his home, should be honest and truthful, universally cherish all people, nurture connections with virtuous individuals, and above all, the most important is prioritize the cultivation of moral integrity over academic or professional success. So Confucius put it in this way. After completing this, if he has extra energy, he can delve into the study of literature and professional knowledge. Okay, next passage. 子夏 said, if you can replace your fondness for beauty with a fondness for virtue, fondness for beauty means beautiful appearance. Fondness for beauty means when we see other people, we are attracted by their beautiful appearances. Okay. And fondness for virtue. Virtue means virtuous inner qualities. Fondness for virtue means when we meet people, we appreciate their virtues, their inner virtues, instead of judge if they looking good or not. Okay, so for this phrase, we can reflect on ourselves. When we meet someone, are we drawn to their outward appearance, or do we appreciate their inner virtues? And if in serving your parents, you can exert your utmost strength, that means put in your utmost effort when serving your parents. If in serving your king, you can devote your life. Dedicating one's life is a serious matter. How can we devote our lives to a king? Especially most of us live in democratic countries. So what does this mean to dedicate one's life in serving a king? Or I will expand it later. And Zixia continued to expound, if in dealing with your friends, you keep your promise, although you haven't received much education, I would say that you are definitely learned. So who was Zixia? Zixia Busang, 44 years younger than Confucius. We know among Confucius' 3,000 students, there were 72 outstanding disciples. 3000弟子中有72贤. And among the 72 outstanding disciples, there were 10 eminent disciples. 72贤当中有10哲. And Busang exactly among the 10. So you can see his status. He specialized in literature. That means he had done very well in studying and developing his knowledge in literature. And in this statement, you can see he prioritized all the moral integrity, moral values over academic achievements too. So if this statement were made by someone who hasn't done well in their studies or hasn't achieved much academically, you might think they're just trying to balance their feelings. 如果这句话是由 书没有读得很好的人讲的，那你可能会觉得，那他当然要这样讲。But when these words come from someone who is highly knowledgeable and accomplished in literature, it reveals his core values, showing that he prioritizes virtue far more than academic success. 但是是由文学最高的直下讲出来，就可以知道孔门啊，孔子门下那种尊崇德性的风气。So this is the moral atmosphere fostered within Confucius' disciples. And when we read this passage, we know that the Tao Center chose this passage and categorized it under the theme of filial piety and fraternal respect because it includes the idea of exerting your utmost strength in serving your parents. 侍父母能竭其力，所以收纳在孝悌之道。But since this concept is straightforward, I will not elaborate on it. Instead, we will focus on other important ideas in the passage, such as replacing love of beauty with love of virtue and devoting your life in serving your king. So I will focus on 贤贤易色 and 事君能治其身 because 事父母能竭其力, very straightforward. We don't need to say too much. But for 贤贤易色 and 事君能治其身, we can find something inspiring. Okay, 贤贤易色. Replace love of beauty with love of virtue. Beauty means a good-looking exterior or attractive appearance. Confucius once said, alas, it's over. I have not yet met someone who loves virtue as much as he loves beautiful appearance. Being drawn to external appearance is a common human flaw. 2,500 years ago, Confucius already expressed this lament. Now this issue has become even more severe. 重表象本来就是人类的通病啊。So as a cultivator, what can we learn from this? We can learn from this from two aspects. First, we replace a heart that seeks beauty in outward appearance with one that treasures virtue, and lead by example to change the societal values. 先佛不是常常告诉我们要移风易俗吗？所以世人都是重外表，那我们就要 lead by example to change societal values. Okay. And if you are at an age where marriage is a consideration, choose your life partner with care. Value the virtuous qualities of your wife or husband, rather than focusing on physical beauty or handsomeness. And when marrying, seek virtue above all else. Why? Why? This is why. Personality or appearance, what matters? When people spend a lot of time together, they usually stop noticing each other's physical appearance. I believe everyone agrees this. Instead, it's the personality that stands out and makes the real difference. A good personality makes you feel at ease, while a negative one can bring you down. Bring you down 只是客气的讲法哦。Actually, a negative one is a disaster. And in this passage, another point we want to elaborate is 事君能治其身 Devote your life in serving your king. King. Nowadays, most of us live in democratic countries with no kings. But in ancient China, where rulers held absolute power, the king symbolized the government and the nation. So if we apply this idea, 事君能治其身, to the modern context, to devote your life in serving your king means loving one's country, in our 道之宗旨不是爱国忠士敦品崇礼吗？ So loving our country means devote our life in serving our king, because king means the nation. Loving our country and in society, in our day-to-day life, at work, regardless of our profession, fulfilling our duties and taking responsibility in our work, even if it means risking our lives. When we talk about risking our life, it is a very serious matter, but here's an example. Several months ago, it's a true story. Several months ago, a group of young firefighters tragically lost their lives during a mission. And one of them had just recently gotten married. So we can't imagine the wife, the newlywed wife, experience the awful pain she felt, truly beyond our imagination. See, when firefighters enter a fire scene, their training teaches them to not only save lives, but also to keep themselves safe. 当救火员消防员进入火场的时候，当然他们的专业告诉他们要注意己身的安全，也要救人，对不对？但是呢 ，in that moment, their strong compassion to rescue others often makes them forget about themselves, forget about their own safety, and put saving those trapped inside above their own well-being. That's why, from time to time, we can find the news of firefighters sacrifice their life in saving others. So, 事君能治其身 This doesn't mean that we should expend all our energy at work to the point of losing our health or even our lives. The key is to focus on fulfilling our responsibilities and never to run away from them. That's what truly matters. 事君治其身，并不是说每个人工作都以牺牲生命为导向，而是要负起责任就对了。Another true story happened in Taiwan. There was a plane crash in Taipei 2015. The engine failure happened shortly after takeoff and crashed into Keelung. I believe all of us remember this. And amidst the chaos, a flight attendant displayed incredible courage. Despite being injured, she bravely set aside her own pain and selflessly worked to rescue others in the midst of the disaster. So there are many examples like this happening all over the world. When a person is dedicated to their own work, and focused on fulfilling their duty, their mission, especially when it involves saving lives, they might even put others' safety above their own. And this reflects our true nature and exactly what this concept aims to inspire in us. 这种舍身取义，这种本来就是自信中会有的，所以这些事情常常在发生了。So this concept aims to inspire in us. But luckily, most jobs in society are not life-threatening. 但是很幸运的，大部分工作是跟性命无关呐，大部分是这样啊。So, the main point of this passage is to adhere to one's job responsibilities, never have a perfunctory or evasive attitude, never just doing only the minimum. So adhere to one's job responsibility is the meaning of devoting our life in serving our king. Well, as from what I understand. Okay. Tzu Xia said, if you can replace your fondness for beauty with a fondness for virtue, if in serving your parents, you can exert your utmost strength, If in serving your king, you can devote your life. If in dealing with your friend, you can keep your promise. Although you haven't received much education, I would say that you are definitely learned, truly learned despite limited formal education. What's really inspiring about this passage is that it comes from someone who was deeply immersed in literature and had a deep understanding of poetry in classic texts. 子夏夫子呢，居然这样讲。It really reflects the atmosphere among Confucius' disciples, where they truly value genuine moral conduct and sincere cultivation. See, the genuine moral conduct. 显显易色, replace fondness for beauty with fondness for virtue. Exert your utmost strength in serving your parents. Devote your life in serving your king. Keep your promises in dealing your friends. You already become a lotus flower in the earthly world. So even though you haven't received much formal education, 子夏夫子 said, he will say that you are truly learned. And next passage, 曾子. 曾子 said, if one in a leadership position can pay full respect and mourn appropriately when his parents pass away, that means if he can do the leader, which means the ruler, if he can do his utmost to arrange the funeral with respect and care, to pay full respect and mourn appropriately when his parents pass away, and sincerely honor and commemorate them even after a long time, even long after their passing, then the virtue of the people will return to its natural gentleness and kindness. So if a leader can personally practice 慎终追远 and lead by example, then all the people will be influenced by him. The virtue of the people will return to its natural gentleness and kindness. The atmosphere in society will become gentle and kind. Okay. Respect, mourn, and honor parents after their passing. Why? 慎终追远. Because we all carry DNA from our ancestors. Their DNA is within us. They are the roots of our existence and our physical being. Not only did they give us their DNA, but they also provided everything we needed to grow up. Food, shelter, clothing, education, and everything. So when they pass away, we mustn't take this matter lightly or neglect it. Even if a long time has passed since their departure, we are still unwilling to forget them. And this filial mindset is truly devoted and sincere. And if we can cherish this attitude and influence one another, then we can make the whole society a prevailing culture of gentleness and kindness. 民德归厚. The virtue of the people will return to its natural gentleness and kindness. And let's explore the deeper meaning of 慎终追远. Okay, 慎means to be cautious, to be careful. 终 means passing, death. 慎终 means when our parents pass away, we should arrange a solemn and mournful funeral for them. We mustn't be careless and neglectful. Okay, this is the very basic meaning. And what's deeper is we should carefully ensure their spirits return to the eternal heaven, 要回理天了. By guiding them to receive 道, 要求道啊, when they are still with us, 在他们还在世的时候啊, the earlier the better, 越早越好. So here I would like to share a true story. There's a Tao brother who received Tao as a young child but later lost touch with the Tao community and became a Christian. When he got married, his wife was a lecturer in the Tao community. But after their marriage, he was shocked when his mom confessed that there were two types of people she disliked the most. Number one, those who are vegetarians. Number two, those who are Tao members. Perhaps in the past, the mom has some misunderstanding and negative experiences with a Tao member or something. And unfortunately, his wife, the lecturer, is both a devout vegetarian and a committed Tao member. And this created, you can imagine, a difficult relationship between his mom and his wife. The wife was under constant pressure from the mother-in-law. As a result, the wife would retreat to her room every day after work on weekdays and spend as much time away from home as possible during weekends. And eventually, they have children. When they had children, their old house became too small, so they purchased a new home and moved out, and leaving the old house to his mom and the unmarried brother. However, life is unpredictable, and his mom later suffered a stroke and became bedridden. At this point, he felt it was his responsibility to care for his mom, but he also remembered the past conflicts between his mom and his wife. So he hesitantly asked his wife if they should take care of their mom, take on the responsibility to care for her. Unexpectedly, in this story, there are many things happen unexpectedly. Unexpectedly, the wife's response was both profound and heartfelt. She said, "Since joining the Tao community, we've learned the importance of filial piety. How can we not practice what we have learned?" So they decided to make a daily trip of over an hour each way, totaling about 3 hours a day, 3 hours of driving a day. Each day they left their home and went to his mom's house to take care of her. They attended to every need, feeding her, helping her bathe, and managing all her personal care. And the effort was exhausting, both physically and emotionally. In the midst of this, his wife suggested that chanting Maitreya True Sutra, 弥勒真经, and the Heart Sutra, and dedicating the marriage to his mom, 功德回向. As he chanted, he felt an overwhelming wave of love from our holy teacher, 济公流边 Buddha. And this experience deeply moved him and led him decide to receive Tao again. 诵经的时候感受到老师很大的爱，所以他决定重求了。And after receiving Tao, he became increasingly convinced that his mom needed to receive Tao as well. And this became his top priority in her remaining days. However, since his mom had previously expressed her strong dislike for Tao members, he was very apprehensive about speaking up. And one day, 鼓起勇气, he gathered the courage to ask his mom to receive Tao. And fearing she might refuse, he even rehearsed various Q&A scenarios in his mind. But to his surprise, when he finally asked, "Mom, would you receive Tao?" His mom didn't hesitate and simply replied, "Yes." It was such a moment that deeply touched him and left a lasting impression on his heart. This is an outstanding example of guiding people to receive Tao, not through words, but through genuine actions and love. 没有讲一句道理，可以渡人求道。Through genuine actions and love. And after his mom received Tao, he decided to have his mom move in with them. Intending to provide long-term care and companionship, he planned to renovate the top floor of his home to establish a family temple and to transform his garage into a suitable space for her care. But fate had its own plans. 命运有它自己的计划。After the top floor had been completed, they received a call from his brother right on the night before they were set to start renovating the garage, and informing that their mom had passed away. Of course, he was heartbroken, but they deeply felt the heavenly grace and recognizing that if they had started to renovate earlier, their efforts would have been totally in vain. As the saying goes, eventually, everything is perfectly arranged by heaven. 一切都是上天最好的安排。Then they began to make funeral arrangements for their mother. 慎终呢，好好准备丧礼。For some reason, her body needed to be kept in the freezer for a month before the funeral could be held. When it was time to prepare the body for the funeral, the two brothers were responsible for lifting their mom's body out of the morgue's freezer. And this tall brother held their mom's head while his younger brother carried her feet. Theoretically, the body should be stiff and rigid, right? But it was surprisingly soft and even sagging, 整个腰都垂下来了, even sagging around the waist. And this miracle reaffirmed his belief that her spirit, the mom's spirit, had already returned to our heavenly home. So the grace of heaven that shone upon him throughout the entire process not only transformed his life, but also inspired him to become a devoted lecturer. Now, his Tao brother is a devoted lecturer in the Tao community. Indeed, everyone has parents. We are all born and raised by them, no exceptions. As children, what is our final concern? What is our ultimate responsibility? Isn't it precisely our final concern and ultimate responsibility to ensure that our parents' spirits return to eternal heaven? That's why Mencius said, 养生者不足以当大事，唯送死可以当大事. Fulfilling utmost filial piety. Mencius said, taking good care of our parents while they are still living is not an extraordinary feat. Taking good care of our parents while they are still living is already a very significant task, but it is not yet an extraordinary feat. The most important task is to ensure they have a peaceful resting place for their souls after they pass away. Sometimes it's not possible to guide them to receive Tao while they are still living. Then after their passing, whatever we do in the journey of Tao cultivation and propagation, our merits and virtues will certainly benefit them in the other world. 有时候他们在世的时候来不及求道，但是即使已经去世，在另外一个世界，我们在这一世所做的任何的行功立德，他们绝对都能够蒙受天恩师德，绝对都可以沾光的。If we accumulate enough merits and virtues, 我们甚至可以超拔。We can even guide the souls to receive Tao. This is the deep meaning of 慎终追远. Okay, now we are going to share 3 passages when 3 disciples of Confucius asked about the meaning of filial piety, and we find that Confucius' answer, 3 answers are different. Confucius provided different answers to different disciples with the same question. Very profound. It is called 因材施教. because he tailored his teachings to suit each individual's situation. And the first passage of the 3 passages about filial piety, the first passage asked by Meng Wubo. Meng Wubo asked about the meaning of filial piety. The master answered, the main concern of your parents is about your health. When Meng Wubo asked about filial piety, Confucius simply told him, take good care of your take good care of your health. When you are healthy, your parents will have nothing to worry about. Who was Meng Wubo? Meng Wubo was the son of a powerful figure in the state of Lu. 是鲁国一个政要的公子啊。So he was a spoiled rich kid with many privileges and known for his hot-tempered and aggressive personality. His reckless courage often led him to engage in fights when he was upset, and causing his parents great concern for his safety. And that's why Confucius advised him to focus on maintaining his health, as engaging in fights could harm his well-being. And the passage from Xiaojing, the classic of filial piety, actually resonates with this passage in the Analects. The passage from Xiaojing affirms this point. The main concern of your parents is about your health. Xiaojing said, our bodies and skin are inherited from our parents. We should not carelessly harm or damage them. This is the beginning of filial piety. See, in the classic of sutra, but in the classic of filial piety, Confucius highlighted hair and skin, 发肤. Why hair and skin? Because hair and skin are the most visible and least significant parts of our body. If we are careful not to harm something as minor as our hair isn't important, right? If we are careful not to harm our hair or skin, that means that how much more we should take care of our overall health and well-being. 如果我们连发肤都不伤害的话，那对于我们的内脏呢，整体的健康，我们当然是会更保护了。That's why the classic of filial piety mentioned bodies and skin. So it's about respecting and protecting even the smallest parts, which reflects how we should value and care for our whole body. Because our body is a precious gift from our parents. And this is the beginning of filial piety. Now I would like to share a true story I've heard in New Zealand. I came across this charming and humorous story from New Zealand. There was a mom, 100 years old, and her child who was 80 years old. And the child felt unwell. So the mom, being a caring mom, took her 80-year-old child to the hospital. And when she approached the staff, she asked with complete sincerity, she said, excuse me, where's the pediatric department? Where do we go for the children's emergency? She meant it to go to pediatric department. So actually, it's a beautiful reminder of the unconditional love and care that never fades. No matter how old you are, in your mom's eyes, you're always her baby hugging a teddy bear. 我们父母亲的爱永远不会褪色，不管我们年纪多大。所以养儿方知父母恩is also a very famous proverb in Chinese culture. Not until we become parents ourselves do we fully appreciate the depth of our own parents' love. Parents' love for their children might include cause everyday care, given selflessly without complaints, everything. And what if the children fall ill? When our children fall ill, if we become parents, when our children fall ill, we can feel the worry and concern overwhelming. And it's in these moments that we truly understand our parents went through for us. Because if they could, we can feel that for parents, if they could, they would take their children's place and bear the suffering for their children. 所以天下父母心呢，儿女生病的时候，巴不得为他们替他们去生病啊。所以 through these experiences, we come to deeply appreciate just how much we owe our parents for their boundless love and dedication. So the main message of this passage is to take care of ourselves and not cause our parents unnecessary worry, which is the least we can do to show our filial piety. 如果我们觉得孝顺很难的话，我们开始照顾好自己，就是 the beginning of the least we can do, the beginning of filial piety. Another true story happening in mainland China. When the daughter was 3 years old, she lost her sight due to an illness. From that moment on, the mom held his daughter's hand. This is the mom, the daughter. The mom held her daughter's hand for 65 years. From the daughter's age of 3 to age of 68. Now the daughter is already 68 years old and the mom is now 90 years old. They live a tranquil life deep in the mountains, in perfect harmony with nature. They rise with the sunrise and rest with the sunset. 日出而作，日入而息啊。Embracing a life of natural ease and contentment, free from the struggles of outside world. However, life is unpredictable. In this photo, we can see the mom's worries in her eyes. It's just like she was saying, what if I'm gone? Can you take care of yourself? This is actually the heartfelt voice of every mom caring for her sick child. What if I'm gone? Can you take care of yourself? 这是每一个照顾孩子有病必须他照顾，每一个妈妈的心声都是这样。我走了，那你怎么办？ So take good care of our health. Do not let our parents worry about our health. This is the beginning of filial piety. 父母为其疾之忧。 Okay, the next passage of the 3 passages of filial piety. The question was asked by Ziyou. Ziyou asked about the meaning of filial piety. The master said, nowadays filial piety means being able to feed your parents. But everyone does this for even horses and dogs. Without respect, what's the difference? So we can see Confucius comparing the care for dogs and horses to the care for our parents. Makes us feel shocked because it's a very strong comparison and prompts us to reflect deeply. I want to share with you an observation I had. There was an elderly lady living across the street who was very ill. Her son and daughter-in-law lived nearby, and the daughter-in-law took on the task of preparing meals for her every day. She would pack the food in containers like this, stacking them one by one. At mealtime, she would bring the food to the old lady's doorstep, place it on the ground with a distinctive sound, and then leave. And when the next mealtime arrived, she would prepare a fresh meal again and replace the previous container with the same sound "kok," regardless of whether the old lady had finished the previous meal or not. And this routine continued day after day. Although she provided the meals, she did not consider the old lady's other needs, like help brushing her teeth or maintaining her oral hygiene. She believed that by delivering the food, she had fulfilled her responsibility of caring for her mother-in-law. And so it continued until the old lady passed away. In fact, this approach was no different than how one might care for a pet. But sometimes pet owners show even more love and attention to their animals than this. The care provided was more mechanical than heartfelt, lacking love and respect. 只是很机械式的送食物哦，没有一点爱与尊重哦。Without respect, what's the difference? And why is it sometimes easy to develop a disrespectful attitude toward our parents? Why? Because when people spend a long time together and become familiar with each other, it's easy to get into the habit of not treating each other with due respect. And this lack of respect often arises from taking each other for granted. It's a common mistake that many of us might make. So the main point of this passage is, without respect, what's the difference? As a child, one should deeply reflect upon the behavior of showing disrespect to parents. We should be aware whether we show disrespect to our parents or if we show due respect or disrespect. Maintaining respect while interacting with parents is very important because it can avoid crossing boundaries. Confucius was concerned that people might only focus on loving their parents and overlook the importance of showing respect, which is an essential aspect of filial piety. Showing respect is a very essential aspect of filial piety. Now, another true story. There was a mom who had 3 highs, 三高, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and high blood sugar. And she liked to eat fatty meat. Her son was deeply concerned about her health and often regulated her diet, forbidding her from eating fatty meat. 他的儿子管他管很严哦。One day at the dining table, when the mom couldn't resist reaching for the fatty meat again, the son, overwhelmed by frustration, wondered why his mom wouldn't listen to him. Despite his repeated warnings, in a moment of anger, 一下子儿子生气了. He used his own chopsticks to forcefully push away hers and preventing her from picking up the fatty meat. So the mom, feeling deeply hurt, the mom quickly retreated to the restroom, wanting to cry in private. In her distress, she noticed a bottle of hydrochloric acid beside the toilet. 马桶旁边有一瓶盐酸. Perhaps overwhelmed by frustration, she swallowed it hastily, causing severe damage to her upper digestive tract. She was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. That happened when I was still working at the hospital, which is how I came to learn about this tragic incident. So let's take a few moments to reflect upon this incident. Does the son love his mom? Definitely yes. He wouldn't bother to forbid his mom from eating fatty meat if she was just a lady next door. But what was the cause of this tragedy? From love to the ambulance, to the emergency department, what was the cause? The cause is this. Without respect, what's the difference? So very, it's really worth for us to reflect deeply. Do we put love and respect in equal position, or we just prioritize love over respect? Without respect, what's the difference from feeding horses and dogs from feeding pets? And the third passage for the passage of filial piety, also the last passage for tonight, 子夏 again. 子夏 asked about filial piety. The master said, what is important is the expression you show on your face. What you show on your face is very important. When necessary, if you think when necessary, the young people may labor to wait on the elderly. When necessary, you do some physical tasks for your parents and you serve them with food and drink. If you think that by doing this, you are fulfilling your filial piety, then you are wrong. Confucius said, but can that alone be considered as true filial piety? Because what's important is the expression you show on your face. 色难. It is the most challenging to serve our parents with a cheerful and pleasant demeanor. Conflicts can easily arise, and we may lose our temper when interacting with those we are familiar with, especially our own parents, due to the long history and closeness we share. The more time we spend together, the harder to remain polite. When politeness fades, tempers can flare. I like this phrase. When politeness fades, 当这个礼貌淡掉的时候，褪色的时候呢，脾气就发作了。Tempers can flare. People can become angry or upset quickly, leading to conflicts. Nothing hurts parents more than seeing their children show them a displeased or angry expression. It strikes deep at their hearts and causes them immense emotional pain. Another true story. Once I visited a country to give lectures, and there was a lady who asked me to teach her how to create PowerPoint slides. To be honest, I'm no expert in PowerPoint, but for some reason, she thought that I was quite skilled at it. I knew that her daughter majored in computer-related subjects, so I suggested, why don't you ask your daughter instead? She sighed and said, oh, don't mention it. Every time I ask her anything about this, she gets so impatient and as if I'm too slow to learn. I'm too slow to understand. So you see, it's a common flaw for children to show disrespect. 色难了. Providing material enjoyment to parents is a form of filial piety at a lower level, allowing them to feel respected and comforting their spirits is filial piety at a higher level. Here is a role model from ancient China, 老来子. Can I borrow 5 more minutes to complete my speech? Dear lecturer Linda, 后学可以借5分钟吗?
Yes.
Thank you. 老来子 wore bright clothes to please his parents. In the 24 filial exemplars, 24孝当中, there was an old man named 老来子 who lived during the spring and autumn period. When he was in his 70s, his parents were already in their 90s, and seeing their son aging, they sighed and said, our son has grown so old, we probably won't live much longer. 我们儿子都70了，我们差不多了哦。And upon hearing these words, 老来子 decided to wear colorful clothes one day and danced in front of his parents, resembling a playful and innocent child. 好可爱哦。He did this to bring joy to his parents' hearts and make them feel that their son was still small. 儿子还这么小，所以我们还年轻哦。So they were still young and vibrant. Of course, this isn't about copying his actions. 我们不必学老来子的表象哦。 such as trying to act cute to please our parents, even as we grow older. Instead, we should focus on learning from his thoughtfulness and the deep care he showed for their parents. So let's talk about, we are drawing to the end. Let's talk about calm and tranquility in Confucianism. Some people might think that Confucian teachings are merely common principles for getting along with others and do not lead to profound state of spiritual enlightenment. 好像说儒家的理论伦理道德跟明心见性无关呐啊。But think about this. What virtues does an enlightened person show when interacting with their parents? 但是一个明心见性的人站在他的父母亲面前，他要表现的德性又是什么呢？ Exactly. It is filial piety. Apart from filial piety, it is still filial piety. A person's ethical and moral behavior genuinely reflects the clarity and inner peace of a tranquil mind. 因为他内心的清净，他才能够孝顺了。On the other hand, a person who is troubled and deeply attached to the material world often finds it difficult to practice filial piety. Therefore, when filial piety and fraternal respect seem difficult to achieve, 当我们发现生活中 filial piety and fraternal respect difficult to achieve, is a sign. It's a sign that we need to reflect and examine ourselves. When we restore our true nature, ethics and morals become not merely doctrines, but a beautiful melody in life. 当我们自信清明的时候呢，伦理道德已经不是教条了，而是人生美丽的乐章啊 ，a beautiful melody in life. Thus, Confucian philosophy teaches us to constantly reflect upon our intrinsic nature while interacting with others, rather than seeking solitude to achieve a state free from troubles and worries. 所以孔老夫子告诉我们是以出世的心行入世的道 ，just like a lotus, which doesn't grow in clean water, but can flourish in muddy conditions without being polluted. And another point of this passage, 有事弟子服其劳 the young doing physical tasks for their parents. Here I provide an alternative elaboration. 有事弟子服其劳 suggests that any laborious task should be handled by the younger generation. I think all of us agree. But there is a universal professor again. He has a quite different concept. His father was in his 90s, and he made his father go to the supermarket every few days to buy a packet of vacuum-sealed rice. And every time his father carried the 3-kilogram package of vacuum-sealed rice into the apartment building, the security guard felt puzzled, wondering what was wrong with this university professor. He was expected to be a role model for the students, but now he set the worst example. Why? So making his father run around so laboriously to buy and carry heavy things? The professor explained that his reason for doing this is thanks to medical advancements, it's not difficult for elderly individuals to live into their 90s. However, if everything is taken care of by their children when they are getting older, their physical, mental, and cognitive abilities will deteriorate rapidly. Therefore, within the limits of safety, 在安全的情况内it is important to provide the elderly with tasks to engage in and exert appropriate physical effort. This is a way to help his father maintain his physical strength. So just for your reference, quite unconventional. Okay, so 舍难 is the core message. Okay, now we have shared 3 passages about the meaning of filial piety. And the disciples asked the same question, but the answers are different. For Meng Wubo, Confucius' answer was, the main concern of your parents is about your health. For Ziyou, Confucius' answer was, without respect, what's the difference? For Zixia, Confucius' answer was, what is important is your expression you show on your face, 色难. But the core message remained the same, 只有一个原则. Disciples should strive to understand and empathize with their parents' feelings. 虽然有3个答案哦，主旨都是一样，体亲之心呢。To empathize, understand and empathize with their parents' feelings and show consideration towards them. How? Let's conclude today's presentation with this final touch, the final slide. How? Very simple. Love. It is much more beautiful to read this passage in Chinese than in English, so allow me to read it in Chinese first. 孝子之有深爱者，必有和气；有和气者，必有愉色；有愉色者，必有婉容。A filial child who deeply loves his parents will undoubtedly treat them with harmony. With harmony comes a cheerful demeanor. And with a cheerful demeanor comes gentle countenance. So the main essence is deep love. Now let's reflect upon ourselves. Our parents has given us their unconditional love. They love you. Do you love them? I leave the answer to you. And thank you all for your attention and participation. And thank you for the 8 minutes. And this concludes my presentation. And we will now move on to the feedback and sharing session. If I have made any mistakes, I beg for God and Buddha's forgiveness and ask for your understanding. And look forward to hearing your thoughts and insights. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you.